I am the greatest.
What is going on, guys? My name is Moto, and today you are going to be watching a brand new style of video to my channel. I've never done this before, but I have seen multiple people do this in the past, and I thought, you know what, this would be a really good idea for the channel. So real quick, what we're going to be doing is basically reviewing all of the track maps that they have released on supercrosslive.com. Again, that is supercrosslive.com. Of the 2018 tracks, basically say what I've seen standing out. Now this year I will say is a little bit more dull than last year. It's just not as exciting in my opinion as last year's, but let's jump right on into Anaheim number 1. The first thing that you'll notice that's kind of similar to last year is that back section is going to be a step on, step off, step on, step off triple again. Just like last year, I like that whole layout. It looked pretty interesting, as well as a bowl corner for the first one into a rhythm section. The rhythm sections look pretty nice, but obviously they got to be a little bit simpler for the very first race of the year, so that way people can ease into the actual racing. Moving on, we're going to be going to Houston for round number 2 instead of San Diego. And I like the change up, and in fact, I actually really like this track layout. It's got a very Seattle 2017 vibe. If you know what I mean, basically where you go basically across the entire stadium and run straight through into a little rhythm section, as well as having the track actually cross over the start straight pretty much everywhere it possibly can. And the sand section in the back looks very nice. I don't know, I really do think this is a good solid track design. It doesn't look too complicated, but it looks really, really fun, and hopefully there's some good solid battles on there. I don't really know about you guys, but I'm looking forward to it. Moving on to Anaheim number 2, you get another massive bull corner, and in my opinion, this looks a lot more dumbed down than last year's A2. But I think that has to do with the fact that obviously, they don't want to make it too difficult like they did last year. I don't think the track was necessarily too difficult for the riders. I think that, it's just more, I guess, safety concerns after Ken Roczen kind of died over that little rhythm section. First thing that really stands out to me is if you look in the left hand of the track, it has a nice elevated corner, and they haven't been doing that for quite a while, and I don't remember the last time they actually did that. As well as that the Supercross finish line is actually going to be a triple, or maybe even a table. I don't really know what that whole ordeal is, but that looks pretty unique to me. Moving on to a Glendale, Arizona. This really is lackluster to me. I'm not a fan of Arizona 2018. That might be just because of the fact that I really, really liked the extreme length of last year. Maybe I'm just not seeing it from the perspective here, but it really doesn't seem all that like crazy like last year did. Last year just seemed to have some really, really long rhythm sections. Granted, in that stadium, it probably is pretty solidly sized. But obviously, from this perspective, we can't really tell much. I think all the tracks are really going to look pretty small in comparison to what they will be in real life. But it looks pretty interesting to me, I guess. Moving on is going to be Oakland, California, and right off the bat, I really do like this track design. I like the idea that, if Blake Baggett decides to flip over the back of his bike, he can get run over almost instantaneously off the start. Just kidding, obviously, it's a joke from last year. If you don't get it, don't worry about it. I do like this track layout. I think it's really cool that they're gonna open up basically into what MX versus ATV players, if they replicate this track, will be quadding into a double into the corner, and then obviously you get the jump back over the start stretch. Obviously they're not going to jump over that and double it, but nonetheless it looks really, really nice, and a good mirror in that, I guess, track. Really, like there's a mirror section in which looks pretty cool to me. Moving on back to San Diego, California, where round 2 was last year. It's a very similar-ish vibe where the start straight is going to go across the track a little bit, and there's 2 crossover points over that start stretch, and then it goes straight into that first corner again out of a jump. I like this one. It looks like the section that goes right back into the first corner, the hole shot corner, has like an elevated outside. I really doubt that they're going to do anything with that or even do that at all. I feel like it'll be more of a, I don't know. I feel like they're kind of trying to promote a step on there instead of a quad over or a triple over. But nonetheless, moving on to Arlington, Texas. it is going to be a very unique design. Now, I really have always liked the designs that, have the start stretch pretty solidly long throughout the entire track or stadium, and moves all the way through, and then they go all the way back down the rest of the stadium width, which I don't know. I've always liked that. As well as it has a solid-sized whoop section and an off-camber jump from what it looks like in between two whoop sections, which always seems pretty interesting. Obviously, a lot of the riders are probably going to elect to go to the left of that, but we'll see, because obviously the tracks are subject to change and such like that. Not too much else to talk about in that track. Moving on to Tampa, Florida. Now, Tampa, Florida looks like probably one of my favorite-looking tracks that they're going to have this year. A really long start stretch into a massive sweeper. Hits a solid rhythm section that I don't really know what else to say about it. I think people are going to be doubling over and then trying to step onto that table right out of the whole shot, and then stepping off and quadding into the corner maybe. I really have no clue what they're going to be doing. But it goes into a couple sand sections. Now, personally, I don't think that there's going to be as many sand sections as it does read here. That rhythm section right in front of the finish is probably going to change into an actual normal, rhythm section, as well as the corner after the bridge jump is going to be probably normal as well. We're going to move on to Atlanta, Georgia after this one, and it looks pretty solid. I like the mirror sections. As you'll hear, I do like those mirror type sections. Out of the whole shot, you'll notice that the first two actual rhythm sections, or rhythm lanes, I guess, are mirror sections. I don't know necessarily if they're going to do that in person, but keeping in mind, it does look pretty cool, especially when people are hitting like Alpo rhythms, say, right out of the corners. It just looks really cool in my opinion. And then after that section, you hit some loops, and it looks like they could make a sand section there. Like that, there's potential with that kind of a sweeper to have a sand section. I'd really like to see one there, surprisingly. But other than that, that would be that track. Obviously, no Daytona released yet, so we can't show that. So we're going to move right on into St. Louis. Now, this one gives me a very Anaheim-y vibe. I don't remember which year it was. I feel like it was 2015 or 16. I don't really remember entirely, but it's got that bridge that goes over the starting gates, which is I liked that. I thought it was pretty cool. It goes straight into a solid left-hander, into a good rhythm section, and then it's a little confusing to some people. I know my sister originally got really confused by it, but what they're going to do is after that finish line section, they're going to hit the bridge jump over the starting gate and then go to the right instead of left, which most of you guys probably could have already told that, but regardless, we're going to move right on into my hometown, Indianapolis, and thank God they are changing it up. It is different. I swear I was just pumped last year that, the track layout was a little bit more unique than it has been in the past. I mean, literally, I could trace you an exact replica of like 4 tracks in a row, 4 years in a row, of basically what the track layout was in like perfectly. If you were here with me right now, I could trace you out that and draw a picture of every single track for like 4 years straight. So I really do like that they're really trying to do something new with Indianapolis, and it's really nice. I'm excited to go to that race. If any of you guys are going to go to any races and possibly even Indianapolis, let me know, and I will definitely try to see you there. We're going to move on to Seattle, Washington. Now, I really like this layout. It's probably going to be my favorite layout of the season, just because of that little snake section that goes across the start stretch. I don't know why I said finish. But I also like that the very first section is a mirror. Again, I love the mirror sections. It's just really interesting to me how they do that. And then, really, that's the big standout thing, is that snake section. I just think that it adds a little bit of extra pressure to the leaders. For example, say like Muscan was leading going into that corner, and Tomac was just hitting that triple. They would see each other and know how much time they have and or how much time they're losing to the other person. So I'm really interested to see that track. We're going to move on to Minneapolis, Minnesota. And this track is all right. I'm not super pumped up for it, because I feel like those really solid hairpins that have berms on the outsides of them are kind of death traps for hole shots. I don't really remember if there's been any like that recently, but regardless, it looks pretty neat. Hopefully, it is pretty good. There's nothing really too much to complain about. It's a solid standard track. It looks as though, to me, that there's an elevated corner in the left again, but I cannot tell if that actually is an elevated corner. There's possibly just an option jump to step onto a table behind the number pole, whatever the fuck you call it. I don't even remember what it's called. We're going to move on into Foxborough, and this track... Okay, let's be real here. If you had to pick one track out of last year that it looks like, this one looks just like, and I mean just like, was it Detroit? Detroit last year looks exactly like that, like layout-wise, but it doesn't have the same jumps, nor does it go into the stadium or into the stands. But I mean, like, come on, man, it's just kind of boring that they're gonna do that same design again with a sand section that goes over the start stretch, which, to be real, I do kind of like that. I thought it was really unique, and last year they did it really well. Hopefully it transitions, I guess, into this year. It looks promising, but we'll see. We're going to move on into Salt Lake City, Utah, and this is a pretty cool track. I've always liked the tracks that have the the solid start stretch on the short side of the stadium, on the very edge of it, so that way the rest of the track's out on the other side. Because it just seemed like it was a solid sweeper in a lot of battles. Like, a lot of good battles have always happened on these kind of tracks, in my opinion. Pretty bog standard track, I guess. You can see in the very top right, or no, not the very top right, basically top middle of the track, you can clearly see a good old solid elevated section. But yeah, then it moves straight back into, I guess, after the sand section, you hit the triple, and then step back on into the start stretch. Last round is going to be Las Vegas as usual, and to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of this track layout, but I do like it. I will say I like it better than last year's. And I guess the reason I'm not a big fan of it is because I'm used to the ski jump being on the other side and going towards the fans, which I would have liked to see that, but I guess in reality it's not too big of a deal. Regardless, the track looks pretty cool. Hopefully we have some solid battles. I do like the idea that it's going to cross over the hole shot gate. I don't know why I said hole shot gate, but the starting gate. Hopefully that really produces some good battles just overall within the whole track. You got the clear bridge jump in the back as bog standard. So anyway, guys, I hope you did enjoy this video, and if you did, hit that like button. Comment down below what track you're excited for to see in this Supercross season, because I know I'm super pumped for it. By the way, this is a picture of me that I had made abstract by one of my buddies. Obviously the US flag. I'm a badass. Regardless, I'm going to leave my Twitter and my gamer tags down below in the description. Just want to also throw this out there so Fel doesn't try to suck my dick or anything. I did not create these track maps, obviously, so hopefully I don't get copyrighted. Anyway, guys, my name is Moto, as everybody knows, and I'm out. Peace. Goodbye.